Welcome to Math with Professor V. In this video, we're going to talk about one of the most common questions students ask when learning integration by parts. How do you choose U and dV? And should you use LIATE or LIPET or ALPES or one of the other acronyms floating around online? Now, personally, I don't use any of them. Don't get me wrong, those acronyms can be helpful when you're first learning integration by parts. But if you understand the purpose of the technique, you really don't need to memorize a bunch of letters. Plus, there's always exceptions. So here's the idea. When setting up integration by parts, you choose U and you're going to differentiate it. Whatever you choose as dV, you're going to integrate it. So instead of asking yourself, which acronym should I use? Ask yourself these two questions. What can I differentiate easily? And when I differentiate it, it becomes simpler usually. And that should be U. And then also, what can I integrate pretty easily without making my life miserable? And it doesn't get too messy when I do. That should be dV. If you can answer those questions, then choosing U and dV becomes much more intuitive. So let's look at a few examples and see how this works. And then stick around until the end of the video because I'll also tell you a little bit about my website, professorvmath.com, where you'll find my online calculus courses, guided notes, practice materials, and more. So first example, integral of x times tangent squared x dx. So we have to choose U, something that we can differentiate easily, and then dV, something we can integrate. Now, remember, when you're setting up integration by parts, you actually end up integrating the product of du and v. So you want this product to be as simple as possible. That's why it works out great if you have a polynomial expression to let that be u, because when you differentiate, they always reduce in power or become simpler. So du in this case would be 1 dx. And then the rest of the integral has to be dv, the rest of it, all of it. So tan squared x dx. Now you might say, oh, Professor V, I don't know the integral of tan squared x right off the top of my head. I know we need to bust out a trig identity. So remember, tangent squared x is equal to secant squared x minus 1. And then we still have that dx, don't forget to write it. So now I can find v. Now I can integrate secant squared x, that's tan x, minus 1 becomes minus x. Okay, so we're ready to roll. If you watched my previous video, really no formula to memorize. You do this diagonal product outside the integral. So that's u times v, or x times tangent x minus x, minus the integral of v du, v times du. That's why you want basically the product of this row to be as simple as possible, because that's what we have to integrate. And I'm sure, as you guys have seen, integrating's more tricky than differentiating. Okay, perfect. Now let's go term by term. I'm also going to distribute and clean up while we're at it. So this is x tan x minus x squared minus, so antiderivative of tangent x is natural log absolute value secant x. Yep, that one should just be burned in the brain. And then I have minus minus, so now that's going to be plus. Antiderivative of x is 1/2 x squared. And then plus c comes into play now. Once we have no more integral or differentials, plus c. Okay, are we done? No, we can combine like terms right there. So let's do that. Don't want to lose a 1/2 point on something silly. So x tan x, this will be minus a 1/2 x squared minus natural log absolute value secant x plus c. Okay, perfect. Box that with pride and let us move on. Example 2. I really wanted to do this one because this is where like all those acronyms really fail you. Whenever you have a product of an exponential function and either sine or cosine, this is a classic boomerang problem. It's going to take 2 rounds of integration by parts. For the original integral, we're going to call this entire quantity I, or whatever variable your heart desires, for it to boomerang or come back to us. And you have to be consistent in how you choose U in both rounds of integration by parts, ignoring the acronyms. That's why I really want, everyone I teach to build intuition about what's going on when you do integration by parts. Okay, so to start off, I'm going to call this I. And the cool thing is, in round one, it doesn't matter how you choose u and dv. You just have to be consistent in the second round. So I'll just let u be e to the 2 theta, but feel free to switch them up and watch how it still works out the same way. That's why math is so beautiful. Okay, now let's find du. du is going to be 2 e to the 2 theta d theta. Don't forget that chain rule. And then v, be careful, it would be negative 1/3 cosine 3 theta, yes? Okay, so my original integral I is equal to the product of uv, so that's going to be negative 1/3 e to the 2 theta cosine 3 theta minus integral of this product here, v du. Well, I love taking constants outside, so 2 and negative 1/3, that's going to make this plus, let's put the 2/3 outside, and then we have e to the 2 theta cosine 3 theta d theta. How are we doing so far? Okay, the boomerang has not yet returned to us. We need one more round for it to make its way back. So just keep rewriting everything, and we're going to set up integration by parts one more time for this guy. So how should we choose things this time around? This is where you have to be consistent and match exactly the way you chose it in round one. So you're going to pick a u bar and a dv bar. And whatever you picked u to be the first round, in this case the exponential function, it needs to be again the exponential function in this round, and then dv bar is going to be the trig function. If you have them the other way around, it doesn't matter, just be consistent in both rounds. Okay, then we're going to find du bar, so 2e to the 2 theta d theta, and then v bar, which is going to be positive 1/3 sine 3 theta this time. Okay, perfect. Also, keep in mind, right, I'm putting these little bars because we already used up u and v earlier, assign them to be something, so in the next round you want to indicate that something different's going on. Okay, so here we go. I equals negative 1/3 e to the 2 theta cosine 3 theta plus 2/3 times. So we're going to have outside the integral this diagonal product, which is going to be 1/3 e to the 2 theta sine 3 theta minus integral this horizontal product here, which is going to be, let's take the 2/3 out, and then we have e to the 2 theta sine 3 theta d theta. Good? After 2 rounds of integration by parts with these kinds of problems, your boomerang should have returned. Did it? Remember, all of this we called I. Here it is. It has returned. So I'm just going to replace that entire integral expression now with I in the problem. Okay? So let's go through, let's distribute this 2/3 and clean up and try to solve for I. That's our goal. So negative 1/3 e to the 2 theta cosine 3 theta plus 2/9 e to the 2 theta sine 3 theta, and this will become minus 4/9 times I. So if we're solving for I need all of them on the same side of the equation. So add 4/9 I here, add it to this side. We're going to get them all on the left. And if I have one I, that's 9/9 I, yes. So we've got 13/9 I equals, let me put the positive term first. Put your best foot forward. 2/9 e to the 2 theta sine 3 theta minus 1/3 e to the 2 theta cosine 3 theta. And then from here, divide by 13/9, or that's the same as multiplying by the reciprocal, 9/13 throughout. So I equals, those 9s will cancel, 2/13 e to the 2 theta sine 3 theta minus 9/13 times 1/3 is going to be 3/13, yes, e to the 2 theta cosine 3 theta, and then you just have to remember, I have to put plus c at some point because this was an indefinite integral. You can leave it like that. If you want to just remind the people, like, oh, originally I was the integral of e to the 2 theta sine 3 theta d theta, feel free. That's very classy. Also, we can factor out e to the 2 theta over 13, right, from both terms, and then you can write 2 sine 3 theta minus 3 cosine 3 theta plus c. That just really seals the deal. This is someone who just cares to go that extra mile and make it so lovely and perfect. Okay, Last example for you. Okay, example 3, we have the integral of arcsine of ln of x over x dx. I picked this one again because, if you just dive in and you're addicted to the acronyms and like a little math robot, you might not even approach this problem correctly, because you shouldn't just jump to integration by parts. You really need to do a substitution first and then integration by parts. So I observe that because I see I have a composition of two functions, right? And then I have the derivative of that inside function in the composition within my integrand. So first a substitution is appropriate, a u sub, and then we're going to do by parts. Now, since I know I'm going to do by parts after making a sub, I'm not going to use u. I'm going to pick a different variable. So in this case, let's just let t be ln of x, and then dt is 1 over x dx. Do you see how we have exactly that in the integral? There's 1 over x dx. So this becomes integral arcsine of t dt. And then now we're ready to do by parts. Obviously, arcsine can't be dv because you have to find v. You have to integrate dv. And it's like, that's exactly what the problem's asking you. Integrate arcsine. So that's a bad choice. We know the derivative, though, of it, and that's perfect because, remember, we don't have to ever integrate u. So if you're like, oh, I just don't want to deal, let that be u most of the time. And then dv is just plain old dt. You see that? So cute. Okay, so then du, derivative of arcsine of t, would be 1 over square root 1 minus t squared dt. And then v is just t. All right, here we go. So we're going to have this product outside, uv. So t arcsine of t minus integral v du. So that's going to be t over square root 1 minus t squared dt. Perfect. From here, if you're pretty advanced, you can do this integral in your head. I think so. If you're just learning by parts, then let's walk through. We need to do another substitution. I can't use u, I can't use t. Let's do y. So let y equal 1 minus t squared. dy would be negative 2t dt. And negative 1/2 dy is t dt. Perfect. Because see how we have t dt. So that's going to be negative 1/2 dy. All right, so now we have t arcsine of t minus, but minus a minus 1/2 will be plus 1/2 integral 1 over square root of y dy. Remember, 1 over square root of y, if you're going to integrate, put it in integration-friendly format. I would write it as y to the negative 1/2 dy to help your brain. So then you're ready to go. You go, I'm going to add 1 to the exponent, divide by the new exponent, that's the same as multiplying by the reciprocal, and then put plus c. So then the 2 and the 1/2 cancel. Love it. So we've got t arcsine of t plus square root of y, which was 1 minus t squared plus c. And no, don't box it yet. Remember, originally, t was natural log of x. Yes. So we have to go back to that original variable. So we've got natural log of x times arcsine of natural log of x plus square root 1 minus natural log of x squared plus c. Now you may box this answer. Very good, you guys. Before you go, if you're looking for more calculus help, make sure to check out my website, professorvmath.com. Right now, my complete Calculus 1 course is available, and Calculus 2, as well as the Calculus 1-2 bundle. Calculus 3 is coming very soon, hopefully in less than 2 weeks, and I'm also working on differential equations, linear algebra, pre-calc, and so much more. And my goal is to create the kind of resources that students need to thoroughly understand the material and prepare for exams, because that's really what makes them the most nervous and what they're the most lost with. So really what you're going to love about my courses are the problem sets, where I work through so many examples in detail, explaining exactly what's going on. And then even more beautiful are the unit reviews. There's sample exams. There's also study guides, very comprehensive with lots of examples. So many students have already seen results because they've said that they've seen questions on their exams very similar or identical to the questions on my study guides. And then I have sample exams that you can take and score yourself to see exactly where you're at and fill in any gaps. So if you'd like to continue learning with me outside of YouTube, head over to professorvmath.com and take a look. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. Let me know, are you a LIATE, a LIPET, or ALPES person, or do you just choose U and DV based on what makes the most sense? Thanks so much for watching. I'll be back sooner than later. Bye, guys.